Lily, let's get back to your parents and your family for a minute. Do you have any prominent memories, anything that stands out about your parents or anybody in your family that you still remember to this day that means that was special?
My mother was special because my father always worked crummy hours, especially in the winter time. And by the time he came home, we were in bed. But my mother was very good, and my mother always made us laugh. She was really good, and she always used to make us buy ice cream, you know, in the carton, and bring it home. And we used to have little parties, even if we got a little bit like that, you know. That was it, because the other relatives, they had nice homes, but they were always so busy with their own, and so we were like left out. But I didn't care because I didn't like them anyway.
What about your grandparents? Do you remember anything about them?
Well, they were only my mother, my father's mother. She was a little like a pest in a way, but she was good. She was very religious. She was always in black, and I hated her when I was.
She looked like a witch.
Yeah. But she was, no, she had a nice face, but she was always in black. But they, you know, they covered up. And we used to be ashamed. And then one time she told my mother that I was ashamed of her, because she seemed to like me the best. She used to take me go see all the sick people that were friends of hers. And then I got to like, I started to like her. And she would be about the best. On my mother's side, they were all very friendly and happy, but they lived in Manhattan, so we didn't see them that often.
What about Grandpa that was blind?
Blind,
Who was that?
yeah. Oh, he was good. He used to sit there and...
What was he your...
That's my mother's father. Yeah, he was... And then when they moved with us, he used to love his wine. And there was a neighbor that used to cut the hair.
Don't you remember that?
Oh, yeah, the shoe.
He put the wine
To make
right on the
sure
floor,
that-
and he ran it,
He would
every
kick
half
it.
hour he kicked it to make sure it was
It
still
was
there.
still there, yeah.
Because he'd pick up the bottles and take a drink.
Yeah.
He was blind?
Yes,
Yeah,
he was
yeah, he
completely
was-
blind.
He was in
that
an
happen?
accident. He was young when the trolley cars were new. And he was coming home from work. And for some reason, he didn't realize that the trolley car was coming through, and he got run over. He was really bad. He was. I don't remember that, but they were there. Said they never thought he was going to come out of it, and never thought that he'd be able to walk.
Wow.
So but he was good. Grandma Babanino, we used to call him. And the other grandfather, I didn't know that well because he died young. And it was, now that, you know, when you think of it, as you're growing up and you see people with nicer houses and all that, you think you're so miserable, you know, but now I know we have a nice family. They used to have, on my father's side, where my godmother lived with her parents, we'd have a lot of big parties, and she'd have special ones for the kids.
Now, Frank, what about you? Any special memories of your parents,
Well,
your grandparents?
basically, everything was my mom. She was everything.
Yeah.
She was the strong one in the family. She was a hard worker. Even when she was in the late 70s, she worked like a dog. She was very strong.
Yeah, my mother was the same.
My father was an intelligent man. He had 14 years of education. He went to private school, so that was like 18 years in America.
What were their first names, your mother and father?
My mother's name was Louise. I named my daughter after my mother. And my father's name was Joseph.
And Lily, just real quick, what was your parents' names?
My mother was Catherine, and my father was John.
John. Okay. So Frank, back to you. So any special memories of anything in particular, like Lily was talking about, or?
Yeah, I know. I remember my mom. I was very close to my mother. I used to always think I was her favorite. I used to be proud of that. I used to show off to everybody know. But I really think I was. Because when you got 8 kids, believe me, you always have a lot of problems. I had a sister that ran away from home when she was 14 years old because she didn't get a pair of shoes.
Who was that? Which sister?
Lillian. And it was in it, we put it missing persons in the paper and all that junk. Finally the cops got her 3 days later, brought her home,
Where was she?
She ran away with another girl, 2 girls. They picked them up. And when the cops brought her home, my mother was crying for 3 days because her daughter was there. But as soon as she seen her daughter, she wanted to kill her.
Was she punished?
I don't know how you could say, I don't know. As far as I know. All I know is a lot of commotion in the police. But you know, we got something good out of it. We got into the system. When you have something like that in your family, you get into a system with the city. And the boys in my house, I think my sister Rosie went away. So we went to Life Camp. Everything paid for by Life magazine. We went to summer camp. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my whole life. I cried when I left the house, and I cried when I left camp. That's how good camp was. It was everything. We had the best food. We slept outdoors. We had everything good.
It was a summer camp?
Summer camp, 1 whole month. We had fantastic meals, and we cooked outdoors every day. But if it rained or anything, they had the main camp. We went and we had dinner in the main camp, and it was beautiful. Everything. The first year I was in treehouse. We had a house built up on a tree. I had to climb up a ladder to get to it. We slept out there. No, even that in summertime. And the second year, that was in July. The second year we went for the whole month of August. Then I was with the Rangers, and we lived in covered wagons. And then on the wagon we had awnings on the side. You pull it down in case it rained, and we put the bunks, and we slept outdoors too. And we went all over New Jersey with it. And we swam no pools. We had a big lake. We always went to the lake to swim. And we swam in the lake, all the boys, no clothes on. We went to the lake, and that's it. And every night we have a fire, and the 2 college boys that was in charge would tell us stories and all that stuff, and sing and tell stories. It was gorgeous. It was the best thing that could ever happen to anybody. If you have any kids in life anymore, again, send them to camp. It's the best thing in life.
Did any of your brothers or sisters go, or is it just you?
Only me and my brother Joey that I know. I think my sister might have went, but then she goes to the girls. I don't know. My sister Rosie might have went. Annie was too young.
Now, Lily, I'm going to ask you, can you describe your siblings, a little bit about each one? Just a little something about
Annie
each one.
was very clean, very fussy, and if she didn't like the way I did things, because I was the second child, she used to have a fit, and she used to make me do all the dishes over and over again. So I hated her, okay? But when she used to buy things, because then she would have a part-time job, and she would buy things, then I liked her again.
And what about Lucille?
Well, she was a good 8 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved her because she was so cute, you know.
And then Laurie?
And Laurie was a pest.
Because she was the youngest.
She was the youngest, yeah.
Now, did you all live home at the same time? All the sisters?
Outside of Laurie and my sister Kathy, the one that was sick and died.
Right.
With Kathy, my sister Ann and I both were living home. But Laurie was like, I think my sister Annie, after a couple of years, she was young. Sure, because her and Tony took Laurie every place, upstate New York, to all the really nice places, you know, and that was it. But
Now, can you talk a little bit about your sister Kathy?
there was not much you could say because she was completely invalid, and she was I think she was almost all blind, you know.
And how old was she compared to you? Was she younger than you?
Oh yeah, younger than me.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, she was.
yeah, good.
Actually, were we married when she was born? Yeah? Or she was, she was
she
born
was-
before we got
yeah.
married. Yeah.
How old was she when she died?
Oh, she was old. She was in her 60s, I think.
No, I don't think she lived that old. Like that, maybe I'm wrong, but you know, she never even got big. She's still in bed. She looked like she was 6 years old.
Now, was she born with this condition?
It was, I think, an accident by one of the doctors.
Okay.
Yeah, childbirth.
So from the time she was a
Yeah.
from the time she was a baby, she was
Oh, yeah.
institutionalized.
Yeah, it was rough with her because we always had to get the
Upstate New York.
ambulance, and she was going in and out of the hospital. And you know, my mother, she would get exhausted, and sometimes she just used to leave her and go around the corner to my Aunt Mary, and we had, unless she cried a lot that we couldn't control, me and my sister Anna, one of us went to call her because nobody had phones.
Yeah.
So we'd have to go to my Aunt Mary's and call her because we didn't know what to do. She would just cry and cry and cry. She had the brain tumor too.
Yeah. And what about you, Frank, with your brothers and sisters? Now, Anthony was
He was retarded.
okay, and was he born with that condition as
Yes, he was. At the first, like I said before, the first 5 years he was never home for Christmas. But we paid attention to Anthony. We all watched him like mad. And you know, with all his conditions, he could drive you crazy. He would drive you crazy. I think he would have been the smartest of all of us, because sometimes he would say things that it was shocking that he knew something, that he knew that. It was really just, he never went to school. The first day he went to school was a big tragedy. He was raped by a kid in school. So one day in school, we took him out of school the next day, and that's it.
Now, did he live at home then, all that, for the rest of it?
He lived at home with my parents until one of the doctors says that you better do something, make arrangements to put him someplace so if when you die, he'll have someplace to go, because then otherwise your kids are going to fight on who wants to take care of him, who ain't going to take care of him, who can't take care of him, and you'll be bounced around all over. And the doctor was right. So we made arrangements for him to be taken to go to a place for handicapped kids. And getting him, it was a tragedy. They put him in school, we put him up in Staten Island. It became a big scandal in all New York, biggest scandal in the world. They, I forget the name of it. I hope you would remember. I forget the name of it. It was
Willowbrook.
Willowbrook. Willowbrook, right. It was all over television, how bad it was. But he was there, and you know, before he went there, we had to buy him like 6 pairs of underwear, pajamas, 3 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, everything you could think of, shoes. And I went to, they're not supposed to see him until a month. I went to see him after he was in less than 3 weeks. And we weren't supposed, but I went, her and I went. We went there, everything was taken from him. He had no clothes, no nothing. He says, I only got what I sleep what I got on, because if you take it off, they rob it off me. Because he was very fragile. And all those other kids in there were big and strong, and he was in good shape. He was, you could talk to him, and he had a low brain. The other ones didn't have no brains, and they were scary. So I come home, told my mother that she got to take him out. He can't stay there. He had to get a court order to get him out. So we went to court and got him out. Finally got him out. Then later, years later, when they were living in Long Island, the same thing. My mother and father was very old, and the doctor told me, you got to do something to get them straight. So we did. This time we got it through the state. Whatever it was, instead of the city. We got it, I don't know if it's the state or the city, but they did. They got him in a beautiful place in Bayshore, Long Island, where he got his own room. There was a private house. There were 6 kids and a couple that took care of the 6 kids, that fed them 3 meals a day, and they even got him jobs where they got like 10 cents an hour. They got him jobs. I mean, he became a supervisor where he worked. That's how much brains he did have. But a lot of kids didn't like it because he became too bossy. A couple of times he got hit. They punched him.
Now, did he remain in that facility until he died?
He did, and he worked in there, and he died. He was living there when he died.
And how old was Anthony when he died?
He lived to, I'm surprised, he lived to about 65 years old. For all the things, and he was always thin as a rail. Never gained weight, had no teeth in his mouth. He lost all his teeth young, but he chewed everything to death.
He ate everything.
He ate everything to death. And every time I see him, but when he comes to my butcher shop, he says, I had to make sure I gave him bologna. Give him a half a pound of bologna because he loved his bologna. And then I gave chopped meat because my mother always made meatballs for him.
And in later years, did he love to come to visit you in Las Vegas?
Oh yes, he came to Vegas.
Oh, yeah, he loved us.
And,
Yeah, we were the favorite.
and he loved to play the machines. But he was, he was considered blind, but he could see just a little bit. He was considered blind. But he put his face right on the machine. So people seen that, there was something wrong with him. And sometimes the guys, security, used to tell him to leave. And then when we heard that, my sister, never happened with me, but my sister heard it. She got up and she yelled at them, then they apologized.
Which sister was that?
Annie, because she took him to the game.
We'll take a break.